One of the most important parts of business-to-business sales, and for me one of the most enjoyable parts because it brings the whole thing together, is actually closing the sale. Now, there have been a lot of training courses about getting to yes and the road to a sale, where you get the customer to a point where, you know, press hard, 3 copies, all that kind of stuff. But for business-to-business salespeople, there is really one only way for you to close the sale, and that is fundamentally for the customer to buy from you. So how do you get a customer to buy from you? Well, interestingly enough, this too is about asking the right question at the right time in the right way. And it's based on this simple rule, and you need to commit this to memory. And here it is. If the salesperson says it, the customer can doubt it. But if the customer says it, it must be true. So let's think about that. If the salesperson says it, well, Mr. Customer, this is a solution that will solve all of your problems, right? The customer can doubt it. Customer will sit back and says, well, he's here to make a sale, it's his job. I'm not really sure whether it will solve all of my problems. However, if the customer says it, salesperson says, how many of these problems do you think this will solve for you, Mr. Customer? And the customer says, I think this is going to solve all our problems. Then it must be true. So let's think about that. When we're going to close a sale, we have to ask a client a very specific question so that they confirm that what we're asking them is true. This could be, you know, a myriad of closing opportunities. If it's a solution sale, it could be about the outcome. If it's, it could be about the process. If it's a product sale, you know, Mr. Client, I think that you'll sell 100 more of these per month than what you're currently selling of it than our competitors' products. Okay then. Mr. Client, how many more of these a month do you think you will sell than what you're selling of the other product? And the client turns around and says, Ken, probably about 100. Well, that's the truth. So when you get to the point that you're actually going to close the sale, don't ask for a specific action or order. Get them to actually tell you what the benefit is going to be. Because people buy because of benefits that will move them away from pain or move them towards pleasure. When you're in this situation, you've got to remember these two things. If the rule is, if the salesperson says it, the customer can doubt it, then you know what you're closing on. You know whether you're closing on price, delivery, specifications, warranty, whatever the case may be. But what you've got to do is get the customer to say it. Because if they say it, it's true. If you say it, it's just a bit of a pitch. This can be hard to get the skill of doing at the beginning, because the questions sometimes come out a little bit, they're just not confident, or they don't kind of hit the right chord. But believe me, if you practice at this and you get your closing questions right, because if you think about it, there's usually only about 2 or 3 reasons why your customers will or will not buy from you. And let's assume it's not price, because any idiot can pull their pants down and give a discount. So you've got to figure out what they are and then meld the questions so that the customer can say yes to the reason you're going to sell them the product. And you already know what that reason is. How? Well, you ask them the killer question. You ask them, what's the most important thing to you about why? And they told you. Then you take their answer of why and you close the sale by getting the customer to confirm what they've already told you and therefore purchase your product and service. As I say, this isn't an easy thing to do, but once you get a cycle for your service or your product, it becomes natural. Then it becomes a habit, and then you'll just be so surprised that you can sit there and ask your killer question, understand why they're going to buy from you, And then when you get to the final end of the sale, ask them the closing question and they will confirm it for you. And what do you need to do? You need to go on to the next step, which is go away, give yourself a high five for doing a good job, bend over, pat on the back, let's set the agenda and get on with the sale. Moving on.